Every minute of every day, cameras around the world are recording our lives, capturing the unexpected and the unbelievable.
I remember landing off the drop and knowing it had gone wrong.
These aren't AI-generated images. These are real accidents.
They had no idea if I was alive or dead.
And real people.
You never think something bad is going to happen to you until it does. I was in shock.
Telling their stories in their own words.
I was definitely not calm. I mean, my heart is, jumping out of my chest the entire time. We're not fighting!
From incredible close calls.
The car was on fire pretty good, and if we didn't get him out, he was gonna cook.
To heart-stopping scares.
The boat was sinking. I thought I was going to see my son die.
And uncontrollable acts of nature.
When I got out of the van, I started hearing all the tops of the trees getting snapped like twigs. I knew it was coming right at us.
These are the moments you'd never believe if they weren't caught on camera. Coming up.
We knew that there were sharks in the water, so that was definitely in our minds as we were sitting out there floating around.
A dramatic crash landing in dangerous waters. A couple faced the fury of a deadly tornado.
It literally sounded like a freight train.
And in a Sheffield hair salon,
All I remember is just went completely white.
a brush with disaster.
The loudest noise I've ever heard in my life.
Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. This motorbike is struck from behind. The passenger is thrown clear, but the biker finds himself trapped beneath the car. Normally, the last thing the police would want is a crowd. But here, the crowd saves the day, as officers recruit the onlookers to help them raise the vehicle. The biker was pulled from underneath with just minor injuries. China, where a young girl is trapped in a burning apartment block. But a neighbor has launched a one-man mission to rescue her. As the fire department sends up a ladder, it appears that our Good Samaritan has got her out of the apartment just in time. Our hero proved that everyone really does need good neighbors. Talking of neighbors, here's a plotline straight out of the Aussie soap. In Perth, Australia, a drunk driver has lost control of her car. She now finds herself locked inside as it slowly sinks. But once again, Good Samaritans are on the scene as they rush round from next door to help.
Get out of the car. What's good? Get out. You all right?
They attempt to pull her out. But an elbow is no match for the glass window. And even a brick appears useless. Undeterred, they eventually break in. The driver was charged with drunk driving. And thankfully, the only real casualties were the car, the fence, and the swimming pool. Good Samaritans can be found in the most unlikely of places. Even here, in the glitzy world of the Miami property market.
I'm Cristiano Piquet. I'm the founder and owner of a real estate company here in Miami, Florida.
Real estate is a dog-eat-dog world. When it comes to the competition, Cristiano has found a way to rise above.
So it could be hard to find the right property in Miami because normally you are driving and you have that one perspective. But then I realized that we could have a bird's eye view. How about flying on top of Miami? You can really see the penthouses that you could not see driving or with a boat.
Viewing properties with his paramotor saves Cristiano a lot of time. But one day, it also saved a life.
This particular morning, I wanted to see a property in Homestead, a little south of Miami. Later on, I actually met a friend that was flying also in the air. We started flying together. Everything seemed normal. The weather was good that morning. I was not flying high, I was flying low because I like to see the gators. There are a lot of alligators on that area of Miami. They even call the Alligator Alley.
Hearing a splash, Cristiano looked around, hoping to see some alligator action.
I saw a car. Well, right away, I realized that it was an emergency. So I went around to take a closer look, and I saw a lady, like, asking for help. Not even the neighbors on that remote location would be able to see her. She was down. I was the only hope for that lady.
Landing a paramotor is tricky at the best of times, but this landing would be riskier than any he'd attempted before.
And at that moment, I didn't think about any danger. I didn't think about the power lines, the trees, the uneven terrain.
Having avoided all those hazards, Cristiano made an emergency landing. But there was still the small matter of those alligators.
So when I start running towards her, my initial thought was, I'm gonna jump on the water and save her if she was drowning. Need help?
Oh my God, I fell with my car in here.
So at that moment, I realized that she was not drowning. There are alligators on the water. I don't need to jump there. I see someone across the canal, clueless of what was happening.
Calling loudly for help, Cristiano was able to get the attention of a local resident on the other side of the canal, a neighbor who had no idea there was someone in trouble behind his house.
He ran with a rope, and he threw the rope and saved her. The neighbor is the true hero there.
The woman was now in safe hands. But how had she wound up in the water?
She was trying to get a shortcut, and not knowing the area very well, she ended up in the canal.
Thank you, sir. No problem.
I was on the phone with the police and the rescue, trying to share the location.
Rescue is here. Thank God everything is good now.
And I waited until they arrived.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
And they took over. I had to film that to show to my friends what a crazy morning it was. I never thought that the media would pick up on this and it would become a viral video like that one.
Isso. Wow. Hey, we pretty much saved this lady's life today, okay? Definitely. Definitely. Oh my.
Cristiano then received a Citizen of the Year award from the Florida police.
I don't deserve any award for doing the obvious. That should be the expected. We help other people, and that's it.
Coming up.
It's coming right at us.
What do we do?
Trapped in a tin can as a tornado tears up the town.
The wind was just insane. I mean, you could hear things hitting trees all around us.
And terror on the Red Sea.
The whole event of the boat capsizing took 90 seconds maximum.
As a super yacht sinks below the waves. Jacksonville in Florida. It's a game of Little League Baseball, but there's nothing little about what happens next. Dust devils can reach speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. Fortunately, the child is fine. Still in Florida, a mother is filming her husband and 3 children traveling in their brand new car right in front of her. Amazingly, no one was hurt as the metal chassis conducted 300 million volts of electricity harmlessly into the road. The car's electrical systems were burned out, but the kids are looking forward to receiving their superpowers.
This one.
In South Africa, a restaurant with a sea view. The freak wave was caused by an unusually high tide. Fortunately, the diners were not swept out to sea. But they'll think twice before coming back and ordering seafood. It's hard to believe that extreme weather could ruin a lovely day like this. But when you live in a van, you learn to follow the forecast.
I'm Allison Chapman. Everybody calls me Allie, and I spent my life traveling in this RV on the road.
Allie films her van life
Catch you later, Roswell.
with husband Zach
Washing clothes the old-fashioned way.
and their dogs, Marley and Macy.
I think it's safe to say that they like the woods as much as we do.
Together on their travels, a new adventure is never far away.
You close your door and get to take off in your house, and then wherever you pull up to, you get to open your door to a new place, a new destination, and start life somewhere completely different with everything you own.
Thanks for tuning in.
Bye, guys.
But one trip saw their dream life turn into a nightmare.
We were in Texas for a job that Zach was on. He's a travel welder, and we were there for supposed to be like a month and a half.
One afternoon, while Zach was at work, Allie heard tornado warnings on the news.
We have issued a severe thunderstorm warning.
Allie's terrified of storms, so all day long she'd been texting me, and luckily the company I worked for let us go home early that day, which was a relief for her.
In 2022, tornadoes caused 23 deaths in the United States. By 2023, that figure was 3 times higher. To avoid becoming another statistic, Allie and Zach needed to weigh up their options.
There wasn't any storm shelters or anything in the area, and once the tornado warnings started surrounding us the way that they were, you don't know where to drive anyways.
So trapped in the trailer park, they decided to do what they do best.
Because we're vloggers and we film our life, as soon as something crazy starts to happen or a storm comes up or anything, Zach's like, cut the camera on.
My heart's beating 1,000,000 miles an hour, and Zach's worried about filming.
Tornado speeds range from 60 to 200 miles per hour, so a mobile home is not a safe place to shelter from a storm.
You know, a camper can get tossed around during a tornado, and they're not built very well. And, you know, trees can get toppled over onto them, things like that.
Where do we go? What do we do?
What they really needed right now was some good news from the radio.
Orange.
Where's that at?
Here, we're in orange. We literally are in orange right now.
As hard as it is, and as much as your instinct doesn't want to get out of the vehicle, that's the best scenario.
Seriously, are we okay? We're not okay. This is not okay. This isn't okay.
You wouldn't want to be inside of a camper when it's getting flipped upside down and trees coming down and all that.
It's coming right at us.
What do we do?
We calm down. That's what we do.
I was on the floor with the dogs panicking at that moment. But Zach stepped outside because he was thinking, if I can at least see something, I'll know which way to go in, or maybe we can run the opposite direction, or maybe we can go somewhere.
When I got out of the van, you could hear something coming, and then I started hearing all the tops of the trees getting snapped like twigs. And I knew it was coming right at us.
With the tornado upon them and fearing for their lives, they decided to make a desperate sprint for cover.
The wind was just insane. You could hear things hitting trees all around us, things like that.
It literally sounded like a freight train.
And when we were in the ditch, you could feel the wind shift and completely go into a different direction. And then it was just all calm, just instantly.
So at that point, we were like, it must be right over us. And when we got out, we just kind of assumed everything was going to be in disarray. So I looked at Zach, and I was like, the van is still there. I mean, I'm just happy we didn't, like, tip over and go crazy. We posted the video on our YouTube channel mainly because everyone was sharing it all over the news, and some people were kind of leaving rude comments saying that that's not the right thing, that you're wrong. Oh my gosh, look at these idiots.
But what does Zach and Ali think? Were they right to leave the van?
Considering the neighborhood right around us got completely destroyed, people lost their houses. There were several campers that were actually flipped upside down and slammed against trees and everything else. I think we definitely dodged a bullet. And at that point, too, I didn't know how big it was or anything. You couldn't see it, so.
We actually had weather experts using our videos and sending it and sharing it with people in different weather agencies, showing you what you should do in that type of situation, whether you're in a car or an RV or a mobile home. You should always leave. You should always find a low-lying area.
With extreme weather now the new normal, Ali and Zach will continue to check the weather warnings in the future and urge others to do the same.
I think that people should definitely have a game plan, you know, before the situation gets bad. Plan and try to stick to it.
The nice thing about posting the video is we actually do get comments and people messaging us saying like, wow, I would have never thought to do that. Thanks for being a good example. All the nice comments have been wonderful.
For many, boats are a gateway to adventure. They provide a natural high. But for one Dutch dock worker, a boat almost left him feeling flatter than the Netherlands. He escaped without injury, but was nearly crushed by 3,520 tons of steel. Oregon, where the US Coast Guard are scrambling to assist the sole occupant of a luxury yacht that is in trouble. They have a swimmer in the water, but as he approaches, the boat waves goodbye. Incredibly, the Coast Guard in the water is fine. With the help of his colleagues in the helicopter, they rescue the only person on board the yacht, who turns out to be a criminal who had nicked it. The thief will think twice before stealing anything ever again. A dip like this would make anyone go clean. Clearwater, Florida, and a police patrol that had spotted a runaway boat. The owner had fallen overboard, and the vessel was now powering out of control at over 40 miles an hour. It was a danger to anyone using the water in the Tampa Bay area. So the deputy sheriff made a move that looked like something straight out of a movie. The boat was eventually returned to its owner, who was picked up from the bay unharmed. The Red Sea, a scuba diver's smorgasbord. with over 1,000 species of fish and over 400 types of coral. For David Taylor and his son Christian, a diving holiday to Egypt seemed like a dream come true. But despite their diving experience, they would soon find they were out of their depth.
It was a gift for me and my son to have some quality time together in a place that we'd always talked about.
Also looking forward to getting away were Dr. Christian Hansen and his wife, Michelle.
Egypt's so good for diving because there's just so much you can see on any given day, even if you dive the same site over and over again.
26 guests had paid £700 each for 6 nights aboard this luxury yacht.
Our first dive that day, we dived with a pod of dolphins. They were curious and they loved to play.
Could a dive trip get any better than this?
After breakfast, me and my dad went straight to bed because we know it's going to be a long day diving and we needed to save up for all the energy that we have.
While David and Christian rested below, Dr. Hansen was filling out his dive log in the saloon.
Everything was going as normal. The boat is just swaying gently side to side.
Meanwhile, Michelle was up on deck, taking in the view.
I felt the boat tip one way, so I held onto the table that was next to me so that I didn't fall over.
But she and the rest of the passengers on board were about to get a much closer look than they'd bargained for.
The entire boat shuddered.
And then suddenly it just went over.
The whole event of the boat capsizing took 90 seconds maximum. It was ridiculously quick.
I looked over the side and was thinking, the dive deck's gone. Don't think we're going to be surviving this trip.
As some passengers jumped for their lives, below deck, David and Christian were now stuck in their cabin with the boat slowly sinking.
I thrown out of bed and I was between the two bunks and I stood on Christian's bunk and I looked up and I saw that the door was now the ceiling.
Other diving boats nearby rushed to help, while the emergency services were on their way.
The best thing for me to do is just get out of the way, let other people get on the boat so that everybody can be rescued as quickly as possible.
Meanwhile, in the saloon, Michelle's husband had spotted a problem with the doors that anyone still on board would need to use to evacuate the ship.
With the doors opening the way they did, it would mean that the water would be then pushing constantly as a volume of weight against those doors.
He smashed the glass so anyone that came after him could escape. But still trapped below, David and Christian were unable to follow.
The trouble is, we couldn't use the stairs. The stairs were now on the ceiling. I started to panic. I thought I was going to see my son die. I needed to get out. I needed to get him out.
Outside, Dr. Hansen had reached his wife, Michelle, and both were safely on a lifeboat.
It was just horrific. Just sat around thinking, what's going to happen? How many people have we got missing?
I turned around and I looked back down the passageway, and we saw a pair of hands on the door frame. We weren't alone.
Fellow passenger Fernando had also found himself trapped below. Standing on his shoulders, Christian was able to reach the top of the stairs to escape.
He said to me, "Climb up me. Go with your son, climb up me," and that's exactly what I did.
It was the stroke of luck they needed. Finally, David and Christian were able to swim through the submerged saloon and escape through the doors that had been smashed earlier.
Dr. Hansen having that foresight to break them doors was just incredible.
He deliberately broke that door to save my life, and I'll be very, very grateful for that.
Father and son were safe, but Fernando was still trapped below deck. They left the boat not knowing if the man who saved them would make it out alive.
Hey!
Hi, Fernando, it's good to see you.
Hey, Fernando.
The moment I heard that Fernando had been rescued, it's wonderful.
This put a massive smile to me, and especially my dad's face, because he felt so down about leaving Fernando.
Thanks to other vessels in the area and the help of the Egyptian Navy, everyone on board survived. But at the end of the 4-hour rescue, the survivors knew how close they'd come to a very different outcome.
I saw David and Christian turn up. David was in a bad state. He was white as a sheet, shaky, clearly shocked, bandages all over his head. I was actually really worried about him.
The sinking may have left scars, but the survivors are grateful for the new relationships it brought into their lives.
We were very lucky, David. We were very lucky.
The reason why I'm alive today is because of 3 people. Without the help of Fernando, my own son, and Dr. Christian Hansen, I would not be here.
They would have done the same for me, I would have hoped. It's what you need to do in the situation that you find yourself. Solve the problems.
Coming up,
Yo, we gotta go check on those people.
the caught-on-camera moment that saved the lives of 10 skiers.
This is serious. Like, there's people under there now.
And stranded.
I was just like shaking and shivering uncontrollably.
At the mercy of the freezing ocean.
Hopefully, someone comes and picks us up soon.
Pouring boiling water whilst doing a loop-the-loop? Now that's just showing off. But it's the kind of daredevil stunt that would impress our next pilot.
I'm David Lesh. I live in Denver, Colorado. I've wanted to fly since I was 2 years old. Ever since I saw an airplane in the sky, I wanted to be the one flying it.
As the owner of an adventure clothing label, David has been able to travel the world and make all of his dreams come true. So when it was time to say goodbye to his old plane, he could afford to upgrade.
It was probably 3.5 times the price of my first airplane. And it was a lot more capable, a lot faster, could go a lot higher.
Having spent $200,000 on buying the aircraft and then $40,000 on doing it up, David wanted something special for the first flight.
I just have always seen these shots, these amazing, beautiful shots of like an airplane with the Golden Gate Bridge behind it and some, low-lying fog in the foreground. So my buddy has an airplane out there. His brother's a photographer, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity to do some formation flying and get a picture with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background.
David certainly knows how to put on a show. But it turned out that his pricey new plane wasn't quite as proficient as him on camera.
We were on our way to kind of go along the coast and then go by the Golden Gate Bridge, and that's when my motor cut out. The whole time we were going down, I was trying to get the motor started again, and I was hopeful that I could get it going.
If he couldn't get it going, he and his passenger would have to ditch in the Pacific. But at this time of year, the water temperature is just 12 degrees Celsius. Without wetsuits, they would suffer symptoms of hypothermia within 10 minutes. That's if they survived the crash.
There wasn't time to talk to air traffic control because there was literally maybe 30 seconds that I had. But I was on frequency with my friend, so I immediately just told him what was going on, and then he relayed the message to air traffic control.
We're on it. We're going to get the Coast Guard out there as soon as we can. Okay, yeah.
David's pilot skills had got them down safely, but they'd flown out of one danger and into another.
We had been flying up and down the coast that morning. We were from the airplane spotting all the great whites that were swimming up and down the coast. So we knew that there were sharks in the water. We were looking at them all day. So that was definitely in our minds as we're sitting out there floating around.
Yes, sir. There's 2 people in the water here. Yeah, the aircraft is stopped.
To take his mind off the sharks and the freezing water, David decided to keep himself busy until help arrived.
I just gotten a brand new waterproof phone the day before, and I thought, I'm sitting out here floating in the ocean with nothing to do. I might as well document what's happening.
So we're out here in the Pacific Ocean floating around. Woo! Got some homemade flotation devices here in the form of seat cushions and window shades.
Yeah, when we were in the water for the first 15 minutes, our hopes were still pretty high, you know, we were in good spirits.
Isn't life fun?
We were trying to see a little bit of humor in the situation and watching my brand new airplane that I just gotten disappearing, you know, underneath the waves. It was definitely surreal.
Oh, yeah. Starting to get a little cold out here. Lots of jellyfish bobbing around. Got Owen up there doing circles. Says there's a helicopter on the way.
15 minutes turned to 20, turned to 30, and I was starting to really get hypothermic. I was, you know, freezing cold. I could hardly hold on to my phone that I was holding in my hand. I was just like shaking and shivering uncontrollably.
Hopefully, someone comes picks us up soon.
I started realizing that I would not be able to tread water out there, you know, indefinitely.
But just as all hope seemed lost,
my vision was super blurred because I was shaking so badly. So I actually heard the helicopter long before I saw it, and it wasn't until it was probably a couple hundred yards away where I actually first saw it, and I was like, all right, we're gonna be okay. This is gonna work out.
With the Coast Guard having arrived in the nick of time, David and his passenger were hauled to safety.
Tower 6511, we did have a successful recovery.
Back on dry land, David decided to share his footage with the National Transport Safety Board.
Whenever there's any kind of a plane crash, the NTSB does an investigation and tries to determine what the cause of it is so they can try to prevent it in the future. I gave them all the footage and pictures and everything I had, and they actually had video of the full dash a couple seconds before the motor cut out. So they looked at, you know, everything, they time-stamped everything, and they said I did everything right, and there was some issue with the motor or the gas.
Looking out at the ocean now, David knows how lucky he is to be alive, and how close he came that day to losing more than just his plane. Missouri, USA, where these fire officers are practicing for potential ice rescues. But as the pretend life-saving wraps up, the fire service drone spots two teenage boys who have fallen through the ice for real. In the freezing water, these teens could lose consciousness and go under at any minute. Now it's become a genuine life or death mission as the officers race to rescue the boys before they succumb to the cold. But just as they are almost out, the thin ice continues to work against them. Eventually, they are dragged speedily to shore. The teenage boys made a full recovery, thanks to the firefighters being in the right place at the right time. "500 miles northwest in Iowa, another teenager is skating on thin ice, but this time trying to save an elderly driver who has taken a very wrong turn. Before the young hero can reach the 83-year-old man, there is another passenger inside who needs his help. The whole rescue is over in less than 4 minutes. Thanks to this high school hero, the pensioner and dog made a full recovery. In Colorado, two more young heroes are springing into action, following an avalanche.
Is anyone stuck?
Dog.
A dog?
Out for a walk with his owner, the dog triggered the avalanche when he jumped off a steep ledge. Now buried alive, the canine will only have a few minutes before it succumbs to the cold or a lack of oxygen. According to the Utah Avalanche Center, 93% of avalanche victims can be recovered alive if they are dug out within the first 15 minutes. After that, the survival rate drops considerably.
It's been 15 minutes. Actually, it's been over 15 minutes. I'm gonna have to snowboard out of here, dude. I'm not dying for a dog day.
Oh, I found him. I found him.
You found him?
I found him, yeah.
Come on, buddy. okay? Holy he just survived a 20-minute burial. You okay, buddy? A little scared?
The dog was unhurt and reunited with his grateful owner. It was lucky to be found in time.
This your guy.
But no luck was needed for the victims of an avalanche witnessed by our next young heroes. What they caught on camera would save a lot of lives.
I'm Eric Gottman. I live in upstate New York.
20-year-old Eric enjoys playing sport with his brothers. 16-year-old Hans and 18-year-old Troy. So their parents planned a very special trip. Whisking them away for a Christmas holiday in the Austrian Alps.
In Austria, the skiing is phenomenal. You know, the mountains are 10 times as big over there, and the terrain is ridiculous. It's something that every skier should do.
Christmas Day 2022, and Mum and Dad were waiting by a blazing log fire for the boys to come back from the slopes.
So all of us decided that we would do one last run around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And we went up the mountain, and it was just normal. We were just gonna ski a beginner trail, not knowing what we were getting ourselves into.
So my brother Troy took out his phone to just take a video of the scenery because it was so beautiful.
Recent years have seen a multitude of deadly avalanches in the Alps. Warmer temperatures due to climate change are making them a lot harder to predict. Certainly, no one on the slopes that day was expecting an avalanche like this.
My younger brother, Hans, loves to goof around. So when he yelled avalanche, me and my brother Eric barely even looked up from our phones. And when we did, we looked uphill and we couldn't believe what we were seeing.
Avalanches can travel at up to 200 miles per hour. They will wipe out everything and everyone in the way.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
And then when I started watching it take out people, it made me realize that, like, this is serious. Like, there's people under there now.
Yo, we gotta go check on those people.
And that's when the brothers realized that their video could help the emergency teams locate buried skiers.
My brother Troy immediately told the ski patrol that he had a video, and the ski patrollers used that video to gauge how many people were involved, how many people were buried, how many people skied away, and how many people were missing from the video.
Armed with this information, the ski patrol spent the next 3 hours locating the 10 skiers who had been caught in the path of the crushing snow and ice.
It was a natural response from us, and we saw a lot of other people, like rescue teams, just helping with it, and we just tried our best to do what we could do.
Approximately 200 volunteers arrived to dig down through 6 feet of snow. Aside from a few injuries, there were no casualties.
In Austria, after an avalanche, all the neighboring towns will ring the church bells 3 times when everyone in the avalanche is accounted for and they're alive.
And so, thanks to the brothers' video, church bells like this rang out for the avalanche survivors.
We had 2 choices that day. We could have ran from it or faced our fears. And so I'm very proud of all of us as a team that we were able to help out.
Coming up, horror at the hairdressers.
It was a real shock. It really was.
When a 2-ton 4x4 takes a shortcut. For those once-in-a-lifetime moments, it's a good idea to film them. Especially if there is a danger of losing an expensive ring over the Grand Canyon. If that happens, he may need to show this video to make a claim.
Will you marry me?
Let's hope she says yes, or this could be really awkward.
Yeah, baby! Yes or no? Yes! She said yes!
We can all breathe a sigh of relief.
She said yes!
But not all special occasions go according to plan. In Nebraska, USA, this family thought a firework display would be the perfect way to celebrate America's annual Independence Day. And just when you think it can't get any worse, incredibly, no one was hurt. But the 37 million people who viewed this video online now know to keep boxes of unused fireworks further away when planning a display of their own. A guest at this wedding in Hawaii is filming the happy occasion so that the bride and groom will never forget their magical day.
Oh, this is coming over for sure.
Not that there is any chance of them forgetting this wedding crasher.
I just want it all, baby.
For special occasions, you want to look your best. But that almost backfired for the star of our next story.
I'm Nikita and I live in Sheffield, South Yorkshire. I was going to the salon that day because it was the day of my prom. It was my first chance to get really pampered and get my hair done after the last few months of exams. Like, my hair hadn't really been my priority during that time.
To get her ready for her prom, Nikita turned to someone who understands the importance of the occasion.
I'm Ruth. I own the hair, nail and beauty salon. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's something we can do for you. Prom is massive, absolutely massive. They want the whole package on the day. They want to look their absolute best.
And Ruth had just the man for the job.
I'm Sam, I'm from Sheffield, I'm a hairdresser. It's really important when people come to me for the prom hair to make them feel comfortable and making them feel good about themselves. Because for people who are 17, 18, it's a really big day, and it's probably the most important day at their moment in time.
And Sam isn't the only one that Nikita was looking forward to seeing.
Millie, the salon dog, she's probably the biggest attraction, actually. That's why everybody comes. She sits in the window and she guards us all. She's a really big hit in the salon.
But on the day of Nikita's prom, Millie wasn't the only big hit in the salon.
I was halfway through the blow dry at this point, talking about holidays.
And that was the most relaxing part of it for me. And I was just really excited to see Sam work his magic.
But what happened next was not the type of magic that Nikita had in mind.
All I remember is just went completely white. The loudest noise I've ever heard in my life.
There was glass everywhere, in my bags, all over me and Sam, all over the chairs. And it just looked like a scene of carnage.
A driver had mistaken the accelerator for the brake and the shop window for a parking space.
So when I walked into the front of the salon, I just couldn't believe that this car was almost in the whole salon. It was a real shock. It really was.
Miraculously, the driver was unhurt and nobody in the salon was injured.
I'm just pleased that no one was waiting in the salon in those pink chairs, because that would have been serious if someone was sat in those chairs.
I just think it was just so lucky that nobody was hurt.
And thankfully, no animals were harmed either.
One of the main things people said was, having looked at the footage of the incident, was, oh, thank goodness Millie wasn't in a basket. Oh, goodness me, is she all right?
This wasn't the fairy tale that Nikita had in mind for her prom, although she was wearing glass slippers.
I had to take her shoes off and empty them because they were full of glass. Then we just cracked on with a blow dry, finished the blow dry, she had to be out.
My hair looked the best it's ever looked at the prom. It was a really fun night to see all my friends, all my teachers again one last time for a celebration after exams. I don't think anybody would believe that was a car crash haircut had I not had the CCTV footage on my phone.